Hello everyone, it's Carrie. Welcome back to my channel. Hope y'all are having a great day. Today I'm going to be doing this card here featuring the Newton's Nook stamp set called Newton's Bird Bath. I think it's an absolutely adorable little set, and I thought I would use my Zig Clean Real Brush markers today to do some coloring. So like I said, this is the Newton's Nook Bird Bath stamp set. It's a little bit mini set, but it's got several different images in here to create a cute scene with. So I've gone ahead and stamped my images that I want to use on my scene today, and I stamped them onto a piece of Canton XL watercolor paper. Lately I have been enjoying this paper to do any kind of coloring with my zigs because it seems like I work with it a little bit better than the Bristol Smooth. So all of the colors that I will be using will be listed below in the screen. I also have them listed in the description bar area as well. And there will also be a coordinating blog post, as this project here is for the Butterfly Reflections Ink blog today. So any additional details about this card, you can find that in the description bar over at that blog. So I'm going to go ahead and do my coloring. The majority of this tutorial is the coloring that I'm doing on these images. The images themselves are, I guess, fairly small, so you really can't do a whole lot of blending. I did, like I said, mentioned in the beginning of the video, I went ahead and stamped these, but I don't know if I mentioned that I embossed these. So, but I wanted to keep the images with a black outline. So I stamped them down with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I covered them with the clear embossing powder and heat set that. And I wanted, like I said, I wanted to keep a black line because it just looked better to me than just regular white or whatever. And it just defines the images a little bit better for what I'm going for today. So, and I like doing my black embossing. I've mentioned in recent videos that anytime I do black embossing, I like to do it with the VersaFine Onyx Black ink. It's a it is, I guess, technically considered a pigment ink, but it's a fast drying pigment ink. But because of it is a pigment ink, you can emboss it because it stays wet just a little bit longer for you to apply any embossing powder that you would want. So, like I said, I went ahead and did that off camera just to kind of speed up the process here. I did leave all of the coloring in, but I did obviously speed this up because I can't move this quickly, even though I would love to be able to in life, but that is just not the case. So I'm going ahead and coloring. I'm just kind of moving all over my images here. Once I color a part of an image, then I kind of move on to something else as it gives it time to dry. And of course I am coloring this little, of course Newton, as he is illustrated, Newton is really actually a, what I call a yellow kitty. I believe he's a tabby cat. But anytime that I color kitty cats or anything like that, usually more times than not, I like to color in like my cat Katie. She is a gray Russian blue. I'll get it out in a moment. Russian blue, that's her species or whatever. And so I like to color any time that I do cats, I like to color them with like Katie. I do have another cat which is Daisy. She is my little calico. And she's easy to color as well if I decide to do a calico kitty. Of course, their spots and everything are very random. So, you know, it's easy to do the kind of coloring that she is as well. But just for today, I thought I would just stick with gray. And as you will see, as I'm moving along on these images, I kind of, like I said, move all over the place. There's no really rhyme or reason, but I just want to give some of the images that I do color, give it time to dry, because I do want to go in on certain areas and add like darker areas so I can achieve just a little bit of shading at times. And so, because you don't want to put too much, even though this is watercolor paper, I feel that if you put too much water on it, and if you move the color around too much, then your paper begins to peel and stuff like that. So I try to be disciplined and move along each images as I can, because obviously I want that smooth color. And of course with watercolor, you just never know what you're going to get until it does dry down. So if you do want to add extra color here and there, darker areas, then you'll know what you're going to work with once those images are, at least semi-dry. So I'm working on the little bird here, and as I mentioned, I did have all of the colors that I used on each image listed, and I wanted to I was working off you'll see the pattern papers that I'm going to be working with here in a moment. But I wanted to incorporate some of those colors on the other images, because obviously the kitty cat, she is, obviously dark colors. So I wanted to add a little bit of brightness here and there with the bird and the butterflies, the birds and the butterfly. So, and later on, I will be adding some shimmer to the little water in the bird baths too. So, now I'm going to work on the actual bird bath itself. And like I said, the areas in this image, some of them are very, very tiny. And that's another reason why I heat emboss these images, because it creates a well, if you will. So whenever you're adding your water, they don't really run outside of that embossing too much. And it really does help with the coloring. So if you've never done this before, as far as coloring with your embossed images and watercoloring like this, I highly recommend giving it a try, because it's really user friendly that way. And it's you can get a little bit more, you don't have to be as fussy, I guess is what I'm trying to say, on your coloring, because you've got that little well that kind of keeps all of your water and your color in one place. So I'm going to go back in with, this is mid brown that I'm using currently. And I'm just going to add some extra shading around the bird bath a little bit here, and add some little bit of depth to it, just a bit. And obviously I'm going to add just a little bit of extra color on the inside of the rim here, and trying to be as careful as I can and not to get too close to the other, like the blue color. I think I did eventually somehow I got a little bit of blue. Maybe it was from my brush, my little water brush that I was using, but it was turning my brown kind of a weird color. And you really can't tell it on camera, but as it was drying, it was much better. So I'm going in and adding a little bit more gray to the paws of my kitty cat. And then I'm going to go in with that gray again and add just a little bit more shading to his little paws on his feet, and then add a little bit more color to his tummy and make that a little bit darker, because since he is all gray, I wanted to add a little bit of dimension and depth to his little body, and adding that deeper gray to his tummy will create that shading that I'm looking for. So I'm going to finish off my coloring with coloring this butterfly here, orange color, and it will just set off the entire image and go with the pattern papers that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to set that to dry, set that aside to dry, and then I'm going to work on the next part of my card. And I've got some Distress ink here. This is Tumbled Glass, and this new stencil from MFT. It's one of my favorites. I don't know what I did with this cloud stencil, honestly, but it's an awesome stencil. If you haven't got it yet, it's very addicting to use it to create scenes, because you kind of think of what kind of scene can I make next just so I can use that stencil, or at least that's what's going on in my head. So it's very, very, very user-friendly and very easy to create scenes with. So a very fun stencil, and I love how they designed it. It's really awesome. So I'm just kind of going around and figuring out just kind of randomly how I want these clouds to look. And I'm just kind of pushing my ink, going in a swipe motion. I'm not just kind of going in a round circular motion. I'm kind of swiping up, and that will create the additional illusion of the puffy clouds and not just a straight line, if you will. And I'm trying to get a little bit more of that Distress ink onto those clouds as well. So I've got that finished off, and now I'm just I'm showing the die cut pieces that I did off camera. I used this grassy border die here from Lawn Fawn, and I also used this scalloped rectangle also from Lawn Fawn to create some more pattern paper for my card. I used the Sunny Day 6x6 from Pebbles for my pattern papers today, and I thought it was a great addition to my scene that I'm creating. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting together a lot of my pieces for my card. So for right now, I'm just going to put some of my pieces where I want them, just kind of eyeballing them for now, because I'm going to go ahead and stamp down my sentiment. And of course, the sentiment is from the same stamp set. It says, so many smiles start with you. I absolutely love that sentiment. It's super sweet, and I think it's a great one for this card, and it fits really great into where I'm putting it today. So I'm going to ink it up with the VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is also a great ink for any sentiment stamping that you might be doing. And because it's a great bold black ink, not only is it good for embossing, but it's also great just to simply stamp down your sentiments. So you can see it's a really great fit for where I stamped that down. So now I'm going to take my liquid glue here and start adding my pieces to my scene and build up my adorable scene. And I get that into place. And I like to add a liquid glue to pieces like this as I'm building up scene cards, because it gives me the ability to move around my pieces if I need to, and gives it just a little bit more time to wiggle around those pieces and not just put them straight down onto my card. If I decide to move something around, it gives me that time to adjust. So for my bird bath, or my main image here, I'm going to add some foam adhesive to it, as well as the butterfly and the other bird, to give it some dimension off of the scene here. So I always love to use my Scotch adhesive. It's my favorite foam adhesive because it obviously becomes in a ginormous roll, and it's a great value because I do use this pretty much on every card I use. When I want dimension, I use this adhesive. So I'm just going to continue to add my foam adhesive to all of my pieces and take off the backings, and then get them onto my card and get them exactly where I want them. And I just think he's just so cute. I love these illustrations. I don't have too many of the Newton's Nook stamp sets, but the ones that I do have, I really do enjoy. And I'm really glad that I think they started creating dies for all of their sets probably about a year ago or so, a year and a half ago. And I'm really glad that they did, because if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you will know that I'm not great at fussy cutting. And some people like to do it, and I think it's great. If you can do it, go for it, because obviously it will save you that extra money of getting the dies, because they can be more expensive. But for me, it's just something that I'm not good at. I'm just not confident in doing it. Certain images I'm fine with, but for ones like this that are really intricate, I'd rather get the dies. So I've gone ahead and added all of my pieces to my scene. I've added some foam adhesive to my main panel, and I'm just going to add some liquid glue to the back of this whole piece here and add it to my white card base. This is a piece of smooth white card base cut and scored to be a top fold A2 size card. And then to finish up my scene, I'm going to add some Wink of Stella shimmer and add it to my water here. And I really do think I had to be kind of careful, because obviously I used the zigs. So I had to take off a little bit of that blue, and it didn't move the color too much. So it just adds to the overall scene. So I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye-bye.